Welcome to the Fantasy Pavilion, your home for fantasy sports.
Yes, guys, welcome. Welcome back to the Fantasy Pavilion, your home for fantasy sport. While we're here, we are here to rock back and talk a little bit about the first half of the F1 season. Of course, I'm here joined by my usual co-host, Michael. Big up, Michael, and of course, big up Ismail all the time. Thanks for coming through, guys.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Good evening.
All right, folks, we have a break. We have to suffer a little more. Well, Michael have to suffer a little more because Ismail, we have football, we have cricket, you know. I know Michael, you're forced to watch football. I know if you're watching it, man. You're forced in the FPL. Right?
Nah, I
Big
wouldn't say
up.
I was forced. Nah, not forced. Willingly.
Willingly. Right? Because we have nothing until the 28th. Whew!
Yeah,
That's
boy.
a long wait,
Pain.
boy.
I wouldn't lie,
Pain.
I think this is probably my second, possibly third season following F1, right? I think last season I followed it like for the first time fully. So there's the first time I really getting into the fantasy for the F1 and stuff, right? This is torture, boy. Torture.
Yeah, but it is. It is. It is. I mean, at
Yeah.
least, I don't know, you all are desperate are watching Commonwealth. Watching right? Because it's just FPL, just EPL going on right now. I mean, if you like Bundesliga, have Bundesliga, Serie A starting is resuming this weekend. So
No,
yeah, wait,
I
not
ain't that
I think
desperate
see,
to watch Commonwealth.
even all the football in the world, that whole for the F1 boy is a different kind of thing. Is a different kind of thing.
nah, it different. It really is. And as
Exactly.
Ismail said, see,
Welcome.
you see how we watching it. Though this is my first season following it as intense. Yeah, I've followed a few seasons before, but not so intense because obviously, we're doing the content creating. We're watching the races, literally every race we watch now, Michael, right? We have not missed
Yep.
a beat. We're watching every race. And
Now we watching.
I'm feeling very attached. I'm feeling weird. Sunday, I woke up early Sunday morning and I was like, wait,
What now, dog? What to do?
why? Yeah, what the honestly? No, it's not football, but that was not enough for me to, because I mean, football now start back, so my brain not there yet. But I was like, oh yeah, it's a football, but no F. It was so weird. It was just weird.
Yep.
It was weird. Even weirder, Michael. There was no omelette and toast from Adam. Right? I had to make my own breakfast. I can't remember what I ate
Make
that
your
day. I was
own
so mad.
breakfast.
I was mad.
Yeah. That's the thing, eh?
So
F1
yeah,
F1 is just such as drama for that is as it is, it's entertaining and it grips you so that when it's gone, you're really confused as to what to do because it's just become such a part of our schedules, a part of our Sundays. So yeah.
No, I think as Jared says, the content creation part because last season I watched F1 right through, and even after that big grand finale that we had last season, and we went into break, I think I wasn't as badly off now. You know, being part of the content creation team is a new joy for the sport. Is a new way you look at it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I got
Yeah,
you.
and well, I'm glad. I'm glad that it doesn't take away your joy because some people might think, well, this is a chore, this is work. But I must say, it made me do more research. It made me every Tuesday now. I'm looking forward to the weekend when F1 comes around. It
Hmm.
really weird. This break is weird, but with the whole heat wave that is happening right now in Europe, I think maybe it was the best time because a lot of cars would have been under a lot of trouble with this heat. and we know heat affects the strategies. Now, what I wanted to do was something like, now we'll get into the fantasy, of course, but let's just talk about, the races and the winners and everyone that, hey, big up Anthony. Hey, big up, our good friend. He
Hey,
never
big
hasn't
man.
missed a Sunday recently. Big up, big up, big up. Yeah, I see he misses. Adam, we're missing our breakfast with Adam. We can't wait. Right, Belgium is right there, Anthony. Don't worry. Hold on. Right, Belgium right there. So we want to look back at the first race, at the first bit of action. Of course, so we have Bahrain was our first set of action. Michael, Ishmael. And of course, shocker, big shocker. At least for me, Ferrari, um, you know, coming out on top, taking away, starting off hard, I must say. And then of course, some shocking. We have we were looking for men like Max and Pierre Gasly, and these men to start well. I did drink the Pierre Gasly juice from a certain female co-host, but we won't call names, right? Not calling names, but Max Verstappen DNF, Sergio Perez DNF. I don't know if you remember that race, Michael. Maybe you might
Yeah, I
vividly,
remember it.
vividly, right?
I vividly remembered it because it was quite exciting to see Red Bull starting off on such a back foot after they looked good in the s- what is it called, the preseason
Preseason test.
season.
Preseason, yes.
To
Preseason,
see
yes,
how they were
yes, yes.
performing in preseason tests, and then they were basically running away with the entire race, and then bam, you see
Yep.
Max DNF, and it's like, bro, okay, cool, wow, and then bam, this guy spun out directly in front of Lewis.
Perez. I think it was
Sergio.
Perez. Yeah, right
Yeah,
in
he
front
spun
of
out
him. Yeah.
directly in front of Lewis, and he had to dodge stuff with him. I think that was
And
like, wow, okay,
and look at
it's
the
Red
look at the
Bull
lap
safe for
number.
the show.
Look at the lap number that happened. So Max
Yeah,
went
it was
out
on
in
like the second to last lap.
54. Exactly. Exactly. They were cruising. They were first. If I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
they
First.
were going to win, and then bam, both their cars suffered. Clearly it was something with the engine because he also had Pierre Gasly DNF as well. Because
Yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah.
both of them
Yeah.
using the same
Same. Yep.
Honda slash Red Bull technologies, Red Bull Powertrains engine, and that was the case. And then Mercedes was still able to slip inside and get some
Yeah.
points.
And get something.
And
Get
I
something.
think that just set the whole tone for the first half of the season,
Yeah.
and it had us
For the
like,
first few races, yeah.
wow,
Because again,
yeah,
to this, as you know, and not, I mean, people who now viewing first timers, these cars are new, right? Hybrid cars, and
hmm
everyone's trying to get accustomed to them. So there's a lot. So this first race was just, as you rightfully said, it set the tone for what would have happened for to a lot of drivers for the next
yeah.
few races coming up. But there was a lot of these DNFs as these unexplained DNFs. The cars just stalled. Not to say that it was an
No,
accident or anything like that.
and another big thing too is, remember, is the new cars, and I think from the very first race we saw that they accomplished what it is they were designed to do, to have closer racing. Because I remember in this race specifically, Charles and Lewis battled for like 5 or 6 laps, one after the other. It was fighting to turn one, fight turn two, fight turn three, fight turn four, make the lap, fight turn one, fight turn two, fight turn three, fight turn four. And I remember watching, I was like, okay, Max is going to kill his tires. Max is going to kill his tires. And so said, so done. And I think he had to pit, or is when it is he couldn't keep up anymore, his car died. And it's like, boom, you see, you pushed the car way too hard.
Yeah.
And then Checo was there. He was going to be taking, I think, second or two. And then bam, his car said, sorry, none of that. And yeah, I think I remember feeling happy because I was like, this is retribution. What they consider they deserve. And then yeah, I distinctly remember that feeling. And then the biggest shocker was K-Mag and Haas, because K-Mag came out of literally nowhere, jump back in the car after not driving for like what 2 years, and then boom, my boy
Yeah.
is P5
Yeah.
in a brand new car. And then we saw Bottas there in the Alfa Romeo, and we were like, maybe he just needed to get out of Lewis's shadow. And yeah, it
Yes.
was it
True.
was
True. True. That
that
was
this
that. Yeah.
first race had everybody like, wow, what the hell? This is going to be a
Yeah.
crazy season.
Yeah.
And so said, so delivered so far. Because Ferrari went from being fighting midfield, the best of the rest, to first on the grid. Red Bull went from being the fastest to and not finishing the race at all. And Mercedes went from being the most dominant to, clearly the third fastest team. So I think this first race really opened everybody's eyes to what the season had in store.
Yeah. And we also have to big up George Russell, his first full
Yeah,
season in
first
F1,
season
Mr.
in
Saturday. Everyone likes to call him Mr. Saturday, and he started off really well, really, really well.
Yup.
He was, we can't downplay his achievement. He has been really, really good.
Yeah,
So
he's been good. Even from the first race we saw it, he was
right,
fighting, I think, Lewis at 1 or
right,
2 points. So clearly he had it there from the start.
right. So now we're looking at Saudi Arabia now. So Saudi Arabia, things change up a little bit, and Max finished the race. And for these few races, the only time Max ever finished was in first. So if he finished the race, he won the race for these first
Yep.
5 or so races. But we will see that when we're
So,
going through. Was that
so
I
I
think the
Ishmael?
think,
streak's still running.
yeah, it almost. I think he had a problem with one time he come fourth or something. So I think they call it that he had a problem. So in years that he didn't have a problem, the streaks learning.
Right, fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair
Right.
enough.
But from the first race into this race and into the next race, I think F1 did one of the cruelest things they could have done to Ferrari fanboys in a long time. Because Ferrari was out there fighting, and then not really like up there with the history as yet. But I think after like 2018 or so, somewhere around there, they had their decline rates. You can correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah. It
And then
was
Ferrari
actually
boys
20.
was like,
Yeah.
yeah, Ferrari boys was like, yeah, we coming back up. We back there, we battled it through. We was fighting down in the mid tables. Now we get the best of the rest. Now we coming back for them. We reaching back for them. And then, all the talk coming out of preseason testing, you had Mercedes not where they wanted to be. You're hearing this right through. Mercedes coming and saying, yeah, we're not there. And everybody's saying, no, Mercedes sandbagging. They always do this. They
Hmm.
sandbagging. And then we reach into the race, and you saw their true pace, and it wasn't there. Like, their pace wasn't there. So, Ferrari fanboys get excited. Okay, well, Mercedes not there to battle with. And then you had the reliability issues from Red Bull, and it was like, after like the third or fourth race, they were like, it would be nice for Charles to win, but it'd be also nice to at least get a competitor in the race. They don't want to win, after the first 10 races. And I mean, they spoke way too soon there, right? Because this first 3-4 races, it did the worst thing it could possibly do. It gave them hope, and then it crushed it, crush. I mean, Mercedes partly at fault because not Mercedes, Ferrari partly at fault because I don't see how they can explain some strategies in these races. But again, it really came down to Red Bull delivering once more, and I think Red Bull does this, at least from what I know and what my research has shown, that they go for higher performance, more reliability, and then they have to find their reliability somewhere in there. Find how
Mm-hmm.
to manage reliability, and I think it works out for them because at the end of the day, it's better to win 3 races and do finish one than to come like sixth in like all of them, right? I mean, Mr. Consistency is really good points he gets, and now that Mercedes coming back up there, it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, and I think on the flip side, the Mercedes um, fan base. I think coming out of preseason testing when they were saying like things bad, things were bad. I think the first few races, because of where Lewis ended up for a couple of these races, it made it seem like they was in a much bigger hole than they were. And I myself found myself guilty of this, counting them like fifth and sixth best when they really were up there with third and fourth. And I think Michael is the only person I know who had that faith
Right.
and, was like, nah, they just stood. They're doing the things. They'll get back there, And a lot of us were saying that they need to sacrifice some of these races and look into the next few years because they wouldn't be up there battling for the podium. They wouldn't be up there battling. And look at how it turned out. It turned out where I think they had the third most podiums so far. No other team besides Ferrari and Red Bull had more podiums than them.
Right.
So, it wasn't such a big hole that we thought it was. So the big fright it gave Mercedes fan, it's not as bad as I think. They would always want to be up there competing for P1, P2. Always they want to get that P1 right through. But at least some of the lightning coming through here is that it's not all that bad. They're not fighting for Williams running as we thought in the beginning.
Well,
And
well, this particular race result here shows a little different, right?
no,
Lewis
that's
finishing.
what I
You know what I
like,
say is the start was really a tumultuous start because they started great in third and fourth, respectively, and then Russell stayed up there fifth, Lewis 10th, and then of course we saw K Mag again with another top 10 finish, not as high as the first one, but a decent finish. We can't not big up Ocon as well. Ocon was quietly doing his thing, but we noticed him later down in the season, later down in the first half, right? He was solid.
Alpine really disappointed though.
Yeah, yeah,
In
yeah.
the later
But
part of the season, yeah, because remember that very first race, the first race, um, Alonso and Ocon was fighting real
yeah,
hard,
they were
and
right
at
there.
one
Yeah,
point
and they
they
were fighting each
almost
other.
touched.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Mm-hmm.
it. They were fighting each other, and we were
Mm-hmm.
like, I remember we had the conversation, why not use team orders and say, hey, stop fighting or something like that,
That
because
nonsense.
at
Yeah,
one
yeah.
point they almost touched on them. Yeah, both cars out, So yeah, they started off really good and then they just dropped off. And I think that's probably alludes to why it is Alonso took the decision to leave them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
And
yeah,
But
we'll
you're,
get to
yeah,
that.
yeah, you're reaching far. You're
something
reaching far.
something Michael brought up in the earlies there, but I really like to emphasize it. After that first race, seeing cars following each other, battling lap by lap, like honestly, I
Hmm.
had huge doubts into the regulations that they were bringing in for the season since they announced it. I got into F1 because where I worked, there were F1 fans, right? And
Hmm.
every day they would come in and they were discussing, this news, this regulations, this race, this Grand Prix, you know, talking about the Monza, the Monacos, and I'm just here like, okay, I don't really understand what they're talking about, but it seems interesting. And then Netflix bring the Drive to Survive series. I was like, nice. That's a nice gateway to see if I like it or not. And well, it's something I really enjoyed. But they were discussing the regulation since then, since it was announced then, and since then they were skeptical, and I was skeptical with them because they every time they try to talk about something, I ask them to explain it to me, right? And they were explaining that they wanted to get rid of this dirty air and stuff. And then watching a few of the Grand Prix back then, I was like, yeah, I really don't see it making that big of a difference. And I think adding so much weight and all of these things to the cars is gonna, I think it's gonna hinder more than it's gonna help. And I'm very elated and happy that I was proven wrong because we have gotten so far for the season such beautiful, beautiful true goes Hamilton moments.
some
Yeah,
solid
that's
moments
yeah
there.
the and that's the beauty of engineering, because I actually was in a group chat, and so my degree is computer science, and so my faculty is faculty of science and technology. And I was able to have a conversation with people from the physics department, maths department, chem, and even computer science about why it is we all love F1, and it's because we see our fields applied directly in these sports, and that's why a lot of us love the sport, because it's not just okay cars going this fast and overtaking, and so basically the engineering behind the cars, because to get rid of the dirty air, as you said, is all about the aerodynamics and the engineering of the car and how you build the car, the shape of it, and that kind of thing. So I was really happy to see that it actually worked. I had no doubt that it would have worked, but it's exactly to what extent it would have. And then F1 teams always find a way to get around rules in some smart way. So
Hmm.
I always felt like, okay, cool, they're gonna obey rules, but you're still gonna have a set of duty here somehow. But it's amazing to see exactly that the cars actually serving the purpose that they have, and they don't look as bad as some people said they would have. They actually look pretty good. So yeah, I'm happy
Yeah.
with the new cars in all honesty.
Following, the season, last season, and season before, okay, well, you don't get fresh tires and you're ready to overtake and then you're there, right? And then, yeah, drop off, you need to cool tires. That used to annoy
Mhm.
me so, so much.
Yeah.
So it's glad to see that, we don't, is that it's probably still there to an extent because you're probably
hmm
still using up tires following, but you could
Not
follow
well. It's
much,
not so
much
much
closer.
following, but the pushing. Is the
Yeah,
pushing
yeah.
that really eats up the tires? Like when it is, and how much curb you take, and just driving that car faster eats up the tires. So if it is you're
Yeah, but
fighting to catch
yeah, the
that person,
dirty,
you're gonna eat up the tires.
the amount of dirty it had before, it used to
Yeah, that
eat
was
up the
chewing up
brakes
tires.
and yeah, that used to
Yeah,
kill the tires. Now I think, as long as you manage not pushing too hard, the
you
dirty
will
air
get
not
it.
there
Yeah,
to yeah, it's
yeah.
not
It's
there
not gonna
to kill
affect
you.
you as much.
Yeah, it's brilliant, it's brilliant.
Cool. Solid. So of course I brought so Australia was the third one, and we saw
hmm
Charles bam winning. Perez with a nice surprise, beautiful second place. We see George Russell with a third, Lewis up there in fourth, and we can't find Max. We had to scroll. We had to
And he DNF
scroll.
this race. Yeah, he
We
DNF
had to
again.
scroll, right? We had to scroll real far to find Max, and Max DNF in lap 38.
Yep.
This lap has
And
58
again,
laps. This race
I
58
also
laps. So that
remember
was
this race. I was like, you see, that's all they get. That's all it is get. I distinctly remember I was like that because I was just so happy for these moments. I was
Yeah,
so
yeah, we
salty.
were.
so
No,
so
I
this
remember we
race this race in particular, like what the first few races did to the Ferrari fans, it did to me, and by extension, the Danny Rick fanboys, because it's Australia. You're always looking for Danny Rick in Australia,
gas up, gas
and
up.
Mm,
and and what your position he ended up. You think, okay, well, okay, things weren't that great season before, but we're not looking that bad. I think this he was what P6 or something this race.
I tell you right now, Daniel. So Daniel's P7
P7 qualifying, right? And where he finished.
and finished sixth.
Yeah,
Finished sixth.
right. So I was like, okay, we there, we not fighting for to get out of Q1. We're not fighting to go and make the top 15 in the starting grid. I think. Well, boy, I was wrong there, boy.
But
and I think you see the thing with McLaren for this entire season, especially the first few races, their performance or their success more so was very dependent on the track. Is the
yes,
track heavy on braking because their brakes were a mess, and then could the car cope with the race distance? So you saw that on the shorter races with longer straights that weren't too brake dependent, they did well on. And yeah, because they went from being last out to the points to now they finish at fourth and fifth. No, sorry, fifth and sixth, and it's like okay, cool, maybe they could sing. I remember this was distinctly at this part of the season, and you always like, "I bringing in Norris now," and I was like, "Guys, no, they only did good because of the track." And I think it's only now a bit more balanced, but yeah, these early stages for McLaren, they were a mess. I'll still say they are a mess, but yeah.
No, all right, moving. We could move on. I mean, any other shockers? So again, Ocon consistently top 10 there. But last week he did start well, so he was in the top 10 again. He did start well, and of course we already noted Russell third, so consistently finishing in the top five. That was his law, right? We won't jump ahead, but that was his law. He was the only driver at that point consistently finishing in the top five. So he was doing that, right? He was Carlos Sainz, DNF as well. He was having a touch and go start as well. Wasn't too hot
Yeah,
at the
I think
start.
AlphaTauri from preseason testing to this race looked pretty well. I mean, they didn't look like they were up there to compete for podium places, but they looked like they were giving a shout, giving a account to themselves where they could probably look for the best of the rest kind of status. They were pretty decent. They were pretty reliable. I mean, as reliable as they could really be having that engine inside. But they were looking like they were pretty good. I mean, we could discuss the other parts of the season when we get to there, but
Good.
up to this point, they were still looking pretty good.
Yeah.
And I think the only thing that we didn't mention so far from the beginning were the amount of time we had to go and research, talk about, look up that thing they call the bouncing on the street.
Yeah, right.
4%.
Yeah,
4%.
4%. 4%. Yes, yes.
This is the first
Yeah.
time, I mean, it was always there since I started watching, but there's the first time so much persons had to go and learn how to explain and talk about porpoising. It's a huge factor.
And the reason for that is because of do you remember the cars now um they use ground effect, which
Mm-hmm.
it made a appearance in Formula One, I think back in the 80s or the 90s with Williams self, and they outlawed it because it just had the cars too fast and too dangerous and
Yeah.
all of this. So they outlawed it. But even then, porpoising was a thing. So, but because it was outlawed for so long, I guess I wouldn't say for the engineers forgot, but it wasn't on the forefront of their mind. Or maybe it was, and they were just like, whatever, we can't really predict how it's going to affect the cars because you couldn't, because it wouldn't show up on a simulator or on the dyno and stuff. So they just had to be like, whatever, and it affected Mercedes sadly. But we bounced
Yeah.
back. So main
I
thing.
wouldn't say they
No
would
pun
have
intended.
probably ignore it. I think they tried to
Pun
model it
intended.
as best as they could. I think Mercedes just got it wrong out of everyone. The most.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So next up we have the Emilia Romagna, and this one again, Max finishing first. So as I said before, once he had no issues, as Ismail rightly said, he normally would finish first. So he finished first. It was a 1-2 for Red Bull, right?
Mm-hmm.
Perez finishing up there, and we had a nice surprise with Lando Norris up there, George Russell fourth, and of course Bottas fifth. Look, now this race got me really upset with Charles,
I was now going to say
right?
that.
This race, and a lot of you all were like, no, no, da, 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 da. Charles Leclerc was second. He was going
Mm-hmm.
okay. He was first for a while, but then he came second, right? No problem. He went and did something uncharacteristic of him. We went to chase the race. Now there weren't much laps left. I think maybe what 4, even 4. It wasn't that much. Wasn't much laps left. He went chasing and driving aggressive. Came off the track and was very lucky and fortunate to finish sixth. If he kept a cool head and held on to his second, he would have not have dropped so many places and allowed Max to come up as Max did. But
Agreed.
That was his. No, a lot of people say no. If you're a real true winners, don't do that. No, I'm. If he was, I keep saying, if he had 10 laps to go, fine. But you have three, four. It
He
wasn't
still won
much.
that race back up. Even
Yeah,
with
no,
10
but it's
laps, he won that
fine.
race back up.
No, but at least you have plenty laps to go on, and it's fine. But you have to look at risk over reward. You're second.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna make 18 points. Max was still way behind you all in the standings. So that 18
Yep.
points would have been plenty. You would have been good to go. Still secure in your first place because Charles was first. I was real upset by Charles because that was not the way Charles normally drives. Right? He does not drive like that. But
Agreed.
he went ham, going fit, made a crucial driving error, and then was very fortunate to finish sixth. Very
That's it.
fortunate.
And I remember he almost ended up in the wall with damage. Done could
Bro,
get more
bro.
points. A little bit more on my
Zero.
boy would
A
have mashed up
fat
the car.
zero. A fat zero if it yeah, a fat zero
Yeah, like
you
I
have got.
totally understand the winner's mentality and that desire is either I'll come first or best I do done. But at that early in the stage, that's not the mentality you need to
Exactly.
have.
No.
And then I think I'm trying to remember if it was because of strategy, Max was able to come at him like that. So he was trying to think, but I remember too, there was a lot of factors. This was an Italian race. He was driving the Italian car. He lives in France, so he's the closest thing Ferrari had to Italian driver, so to speak.
Correct.
Although I mean they both have two white European drivers, but yeah, let's call him the closest thing they to have an Italian. So he was desperate. He wanted to be the guy to win the Italian Grand Prix with Ferrari, the
Yeah.
Italian car. And maybe that, along with the pressure, him being in the lead of the championship and everything, just got to him. But I agree, it was a dotish move.
Yeah, but not
And he
only
just
the
took,
fourth race? No.
yeah,
Yeah. I
he,
was
he really
upset.
did
I was
too
really
much.
upset.
So for me, I didn't mind the decision to do it, but the manner in which he did it, it was upsetting. Like, I understand if you're okay, I am second. There's no way, if everything stays the same, there's no way I'll catch first place, but I still want to push. No problem. All right? You want to push, push. But he was driving, as you said, way too aggressive outside of his normal operating standards. He doesn't have the hammer time like that.
No,
Don't
no,
do it.
no, no, no.
You know, like
He
if he
really
wanted to
doesn't.
cut down, half a second or a second a lap, no problem. Next thing, Max on the finish line, like Kaz won, and he lose a tire and he just wanna touch, he had like 10 meters to go and he just crawling to the finish line. That little extra few seconds to shave off will make you reach the finish line before him. Fine. But don't do it in a way, especially so early on, in a manner that, but I guess as you pointed out, Italian, Ferrari, all of these things,
Yeah,
probably a little too
yeah.
much pressure to
A
him.
lot of pressure. Yeah. But again, to me that's sad. I'm sorry, but that's a poor excuse. But to be fair to them, they have not been in contention like this for a very long time, and so they're not accustomed. And when we go into the other races, we will see that right. They're not accustomed to that. They don't know what to do with this with being in the winners row. They're not accustomed. They're really not. But if
No,
you
but
tell them, if you
still,
tell
is
them, if
is is the same Ferrari. Meaning to say, we had the same team principle we had when it was
V-
Vettel
Kimi.
fighting Lewis for the championship.
but you ain't seen Vettel doing that nonsense. Vettel would have,
No, exactly. He never did something like that. But then again, Vettel ran off the road by himself, and that was the downfall there. That was 2018.
yeah.
But how to put it, boy?
We would have to
Agreed.
do segments and revisit some of these memorable moments and have some discussions on them.
Yeah, I could pull up we could pull up the videos, the website has all access. We could do that. We could definitely do that.
Yeah, but
The thing too,
Ferrari is out of
yeah,
it.
but we won't reach out. We won't jump ahead. But I was really upset with this because, or at least if he wanted to, he could have pushed for fastest lap. No problem.
Mm-hmm.
Right? At least get an extra point. But I was so upset. I really
Who
was. I
who
was
should have
genuinely.
pushed for fastest lap?
No, I was saying to clear now.
Right.
Your second, fine. Just push for fastest lap and you never
And
know. But
Nick a extra point here.
yeah, Nick extra point. But the way he drove, terrible. Terrible. Right? And look at that. Max got the fastest lap. I'm not even gonna I don't even have to check because he has 26. So obviously that meant you see exactly. So he got fastest lap. Because it's 25 they get when you win. So he got the extra point there. But I digress. It was just very upsetting. It was very, very upsetting. K-Mag again consistently with the top 10 there. Stroll with a shock top 10 finish as well. Bottas again, he was doing well in these first two races. He was right there. And everybody saying, all right, the shadow. It's not there on him. He's doing this thing, and he really, really was doing this thing and securing his mid driver place. He really was doing his thing. Vettel with a rare top 10 as well, too. Wasn't too hot in the start. Of course, big up Russell, another top 5 finish, doing really well. So again, everything. Now, McLaren gave us the biggest ghost because we were thinking, well, right, far out. McLaren back in
Australia,
style.
Danny Rick up there.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah. They were good. They gave us the biggest ghost there, but
Yeah.
it did not last too long. So then we went to the controversial Miami Grand Prix. The circuit was controversial, not the Grand Prix. Grand Prix was cool, but people did say this one was boring, right? I find it was okay. I remember this race, and I find it was a decent race. I like this one,
Yeah,
right?
I
It was,
think it was a great race too. I mean, it wasn't the best for the season, but
I think this was what?
it was a
Oh, I
good.
think this was our first official watch along. I think so.
It was.
I think this was the first because it was in the afternoon. So I think this was the first time we actually got to watch one like online now through YouTube. We watched one online,
Yeah, this was the
and
first
this
watch along
yeah.
online.
And this one, and I found it was good, but the girls in the group, especially Anna was like, "Oh, that was boring." I was like, "What?" I remember that race was this was a really good race. Um, we saw this was the fall of our boy K-Mag, so K-Mag DNF'd in this one. This one had a few incidents. Well, actually, I
Yeah,
remember.
this one was a little bit annoying because of all the DNFs.
Yes,
I
yes,
remember
yes,
before this watch along, we had quite a few discussions about the track and
yes.
different things
Safety.
about the track and safety and all these things. And I thought it was really good. I thought it was
Yeah,
a really decent.
yeah.
I mean, safety could always be improved. Safety could always be
Yes,
improved, but it was good.
I thought so too. Ismail. I was gonna big up Melina all the time. Big up Mel. Big up FPL. Big up Arsenal all the time. Yeah, I find it was a damn good race. And but as I said, some of my female co-hosts, they said it was boring, and I remember making a joke to Anna saying, "Well, I can't ask you out for a date because if you found that was boring, no, how can I entertain you?" Question, real question. Man. But I found that race was really good, and Max did deserve the win. Charles was in the fight. Now again, look at what happened here. So if Charles had come second in Italy, and then he came second here, he would have kept that pressure and pace on Max and keep Max at bay.
Mm-hmm.
But what if we want again Russell with a consistent top 5, Lewis with a better finish this time up
And
to
I
six
remember
and
this
eight
was the
minutes.
first time that this was the first race that Lewis and George fought.
Yes,
They
yes,
actually
yes,
fought going around
yes.
some corners and thing. I think either Lewis pushed George wide or vice versa. And yeah, George pushed Lewis wide and had to give back the place or something like that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah, it was the first and they really fought, and that's when we started to say, well, everybody was like, "Oh, George is a better driver than Lewis," and all that
No,
dotishness.
no. He's not. He's
But
not.
yeah,
I just like to push the firewood now. We'll never say that. He's just having a better season. You can say that.
he had
He's
a
having
better
a better
start.
season, but he's
He had a
not the
better
better driver.
start this season.
No, he's not because we've seen later on. We've seen what Lewis could do, and in the
Once he
last few
gets the
recent
car
races,
that
we
works with
saw
him,
it. The
exactly.
groove once
Yeah.
you get and the car's up to standard. But for some reason, Russell just had a better handle on it because I want to assume it's the
So
same make of car, but Russell just had the better
I think
fortune.
it comes down to the configuration, because I think they both run slightly different
They
configuration.
were always playing with the setup, correct?
Yeah, and I
They
think
always ran them on
Russell
front
was
setups.
always comfortable
And
with his
yeah, he always got the
configurations.
benefit.
And then I think Lewis was just testing different things to see what
Yeah.
could
Mm.
improve the car. They
And
won't
that
come out
actually
and say
makes,
it.
but
They
that
won't come
makes
out and
sense
say it.
now, eh?
But yeah,
Because Lewis is the more experienced driver, so he's better able to give feedback to the engineers about what works. Because one of the marks of a great driver is not just his ability to jump in the car and go fast, but it's his ability to work with the engineers to build a better car. And that's why Schumacher was so great in his time at Ferrari, because he used to sit down with the engineers for hours on hours reviewing data. Same thing Seb used to do, especially when he was at Red Bull, and tell them, okay, this is not good. We need to work on this. I remember I was reading an article, and the 2013 Red Bull that Seb won the championship with, he helped them build the exhaust on the car, meaning to say, telling them how to tweak it to make the car better for him to drive. And that is the mark of a true driver. So it makes sense now why it is they had Lewis testing all these different things at the start of the season to help them figure out what is best. And he could tell them, okay, this maybe needs, I don't know, more torque when it is I need to apply this or whatever the case might be. And I think it makes sense now why it is he was always on that kind of testing kind of thing. But and with yet he was testing, but he was still right there with George.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So in my mind, I think there probably was a configuration where they know they would have gotten the best out of the car, but then there would have probably been a few configurations where they say, okay, well, we need data on these configurations to see if it helps the car or hurts the car. How could we improve it? And I think Lewis would be the one that would take that risk and say, okay, well, you know, it's better we do this now, get the car back up running before the mid-season, rather than waste the whole season and have to go back through this again next season, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
So I already do think I'm not gonna put it down to that solely, but I think that would probably be something that may be a consideration
Yeah.
for the kind of car Lewis was driving. Can you remember the entire Mercedes was saying, sorry for the car, Lewis, sorry for the car. But they weren't saying any of that to George at all, right?
Yeah.
And they were
Hmm.
always saying that, Lewis has a poor car, blah blah blah, blah blah blah. But for George, I think they tried just to give him the best car and let him do the best he could do and let Lewis try to improve the car.
Fair
Yeah, and
enough.
I think it
Fair enough.
goes to the experience and things. So yeah, is a I think it's a fair theory that we have.
But was it a poor choice to do that because it set back
No,
Mercedes a bit?
it set them
Look,
back a bit, sure, but at no point even at the start of the season we were never gonna be in the battle for first or second. So just like how everybody took, like how say Ferrari and Haas took those backseat years, um, maybe now is Mercedes turn to do the same, and that's fine. That's just how you play the game sometimes. And they
but
find they played backseat for the first what 7 or 8 races, and look at where we are now.
yeah, so if
So it's
Lewis did
fair.
not do that, right? Like if those things weren't a consideration, right? I don't think they would have gotten to where they are right now. They would have probably said, okay, we want the best out of the car because we want to get maximum amount of points we have. Then we're going to use the best configuration to get the best out of the car. And there would have been no improvements to the car. They would have just been using that, let's say,
Exactly.
50%, which would have been the best out of the car at the time, when they could have altered it and tested and gotten data and all of these things and carried it up to about 75-80% by mid-season, which they did. So instead of writing off an entire season, as Michael said, they probably just write it off the first third of the season.
Hmm.
All right.
And I think
We'll
that makes
see.
plenty sense.
Yeah, no, I mean, yes and no, but I understand. I understand. I understand.
Don't
But
be
so
surprised at the end of the season if you see Mercedes second. Huh?
Ah,
now,
big facts.
oh Lord, why are you exciting like that, man? Oh gosh, boys, man, boy. Come
Well,
now,
Michael
man.
here,
No,
are they
because
dealing with good people?
You're gassing
look
the
at
man
what
up,
Ferrari is
man.
doing. No, but
Gassing him,
he
man.
not like I already think that already because look at what Ferrari is doing. Look at and look at the points too. Look
Look at
at the
what Ferrari not
points.
doing. That's the problem. Yeah,
Exactly.
Ferrari
Look at what
crap.
Ferrari is not doing.
Ferrari,
So unless
Ferrari
Ferrari
scrapyard.
comes out this second half of the season invigiled and renewed, we are going to beat them and pass them.
One race coming out of the mid-season, the first race, that could change, you know.
The Spa,
That
yeah,
standings could
Spa.
change one
Yeah,
time.
Spa is very
Immediately.
crucial. Spa is crucial.
Immediately
We
out
look
of
at the
the
standings
mid-season
just
race.
now and do some maths.
Yeah,
So the
yeah.
next race to look at here is Spain. So again, Max coming up top, Perez with a beautiful second and fastest lap. George Russell third, so another podium there for George. Carlos Sainz right behind him, Lewis Hamilton in fifth. Bottas again with his good start, right there in amongst the guys. Ocon again in the top 10, Norris again in the top 10, Alonso. Now, Alonso was having, we didn't talk much about Alonso, but I was feeling really sorry for Alonso because Alonso had some really good starts, and then just something weird keep happening and throw him off,
Hmm.
Always something sus, something happening, something weird. Just like, but he was going so good. So he finished ninth here, and Sonoda with a nice top 10 finish, just some points there as well for him. Sonoda was started off well he started off well too, decent. If not top 10, was always right there, maybe 11, 12 doing well. Of course, so Charles Leclerc DNF in this particular race. So
Hmm.
that, threw him off and messed up his point standing. So again, but I don't like going back too much by just saying if he did what if he drove smart in another race, got the 18 points, this might not have hurt as much. So this did hurt and dent a few and dent his hopes and chances. But trying to remember Spain. I think Spain was decent. Spain was good. Spain was a 66. Yeah, Spain was good. Spain was fairly decent. Trying to remember. I'll ask you a lot of favorite races just now when you finish. Yeah. Okay, so keep that in mind. Right, favorite race. But yes, Spain was decent. So we could move right along to now this one. Whew, no, I different. This race. The reason I'm rushing Spain is because a lot happened in this one. This was our first ever physical watch along. One,
Hmm.
two. It rained for two
For like
hours.
the whole, yeah,
Am I exaggerating? Am I
nope,
exaggerating, Michael?
it rain. We were
It
literally
rained,
just say, I remember I reached late and I was like,
and
oh
you reach
gosh,
on
I'm gonna
time, and
miss.
you was on
I'm gonna
time,
exactly. I was afraid I was gonna miss the start, and then it was like, what start?
bro,
It raining.
rain,
I had time sit down and eat, and still the racing start
bro.
yet.
We ate everything. We drank, started to pull up picture of bear, tower of bears, and then we had pictures rolling, and nothing started. I think the race started maybe, I don't want to lie, no,
It
close to
was
11?
supposed to start 9, and it started
Yeah.
like quarter past 10, half past 10.
If so early, I remember they tried something at 10, and I don't think it came off because they tried something and the rain just came right back, and
Yeah,
they tried to start maybe twice. Don't quote me now. I know for sure they tried and it didn't come off, so everybody had to go back into the garages and when I remember that for sure. Right now,
yeah.
as you can see, there's no Leclerc. Leclerc drove me well no, he did not finish first. He did not he made a bad error in one of the turns and that cost him the race. Perez with a beautiful win. Very proud of him. It's awesome. Glad for
His
him.
second win in F1
Yeah.
at the
Ever
Principality.
at that time. Right? Perez, Sainz up there, but doing things Max Verstappen. Now, we were a bit upset. Let me just say I was a bit upset because I was hoping that the rain conditions would have stayed so that amphibians like Lando Norris and Lewis and Vettel and these guys, even
Wait,
Fernando,
stop. Hold up, pause.
talk to me.
Where is Lando Norris an amphibian?
I say Norris, sorry, Stroll. Sorry, that's what I meant to say. Thank you for the correction. Stroll.
Because
Lance
Norris
Stroll,
cannot
not
drive
Norris.
anywhere.
Yeah, Norris, no. Norris can't drive in with three turns, far less rain. Yeah. No. Sorry. Lance Stroll, Lewis, Alonso, Vettel, these amphibians, these frogs, they love it in the rain. very good rain drivers, and I know Lewis was cut sweeping his chops, hoping that it would have got to drove in some wet conditions, but
Yep.
it dried out. It eventually dried up, and so we see Vettel was in 10th. So you see Bottas, Hamilton, Alonso, Norris, Russell fifth, Leclerc fourth. And to me, this was a turning point here when I realized, okay, Charles and Ferrari not going to win this championship anymore
So
because they
Charles
made
is also Monegalese, right?
yes. His house is right over the track. He
Right.
was
So
born right where the track is.
I
Yep.
think this one also shows us the bit of added pressure,
Yeah.
makes us
Mhm.
wonder, we could have this discussion after the season, whether the pressure is a little bit too much for Charles,
We
but
definitely will have this
we'll
discussion,
have
of
this
course.
I
discussion
think
depending
he's
on
still,
how it
and
goes.
yeah, you still remember Charles is young, and Charles did one season at Alfa Romeo and then got promoted to Ferrari.
Yeah, yeah.
Not a lot of people could say that they did that.
I think
Literally, they did one rookie. He did his rookie year at Alfa Romeo, and then Ferrari's like, "Hey, come with us, way dog boy."
yeah,
Yeah.
we had understand anytime Ferrari was a mid table, so it didn't really feel like that big promotion.
Nah, it was. It's
It was, it was.
Ferrari.
It definitely will be always. Even if they last, it will be.
So
But
that's it. So when he joined, there wasn't a lot of pressure, but
yeah,
he's never been a driver under pressure. So this is his
yeah, for sure.
first real season under pressure, but he doesn't have the experience dealing with pressure one, but more so it's in such a particular time for Ferrari. It's the first time they're actually competitive in a while. So it's like he and the team trying to figure out, okay, how are we supposed to be competitive? Because we don't know how.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah.
not just no, to me, I mean, my problem too with him is that you're under pressure. In life, in anything, right? You're doing something new or you're experiencing something, and the tools that you have for whatever it is you're facing is just not enough. But you have sometimes you just have to go in autopilot and do what you would normally do. Don't try to do what
That
Max would do. Don't
that's
try to do what Lewis will do. Because I feel like he was trying to do what other drivers would do, or looking around him and trying to be aggressive. Because that's the same thing that cost him in this race here. He could have won this race.
that's exactly it.
He could have won
Sometimes
this race.
sometimes a client will call me and load me up a little bit, and I start to get a little defensive and then start to come out of my pants and don't know what to do, right? And all you have to do is just let the auto kick in, give
Yes.
them the political answer and just leave it.
Yeah.
And then take
Yeah.
a few minutes and just be
Gas
yourself.
them up. Gas them
Leave it
up.
there.
Don't let anybody stress you
So I
out.
think some talking points for this race was track and track safety.
Yeah. For
You
sure.
know,
For sure. For sure.
and this is the first time in years I see anybody call for this track to be removed.
Yes, a lot
Something
of
historic.
people. Yeah,
Nah,
but
it's always a
always,
conversation. It just
yeah,
got a lot
always,
louder this year.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I myself, because to me, this race to me has to be the one that brings in. Michael could correct me, right? But I think that this one probably brings in the most revenue in terms of all the so-called real rich people that come to this, the
Hmm.
boats and the yachts. I
If
don't
there's
know,
one
no,
race I
no.
want to be in, it will be this
Hey,
one.
bro, come on! I would. This is the
I mean,
one race. If you
it's
tell me I could
it's
go to
one of
one
the
race,
it's one of the most expensive races.
glamorous. If you want to say
Where it's
glamorous,
one of the
yeah,
most
yeah,
glamorous races,
yeah,
but
yeah,
if it
yeah.
is, you look at it as in profitability for the FIA, it actually isn't because Monaco gets either exempt or a massive discount
Mhm.
to actually
Yes, because
host
there's
the
not
race
a yes, there's a
because
tax
it's
haven too.
it's
Yeah,
not only
yeah,
that, but
yeah.
Monaco itself because it's the Monaco
Principalities.
Grand Prix.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't
yeah.
think they pay the full amount. So Silverstone and these other places, when you
Right.
hear them say okay they renew their contract, is because these tracks pay the FIA and Formula
Yeah,
One to race there. It's not that the
of
FIA paying them. And I think
course.
Monaco gets away with the cost or has reduced cost or doesn't pay at all. And then aside from that, is just they still have to shell out to do a lot of things. because you
And
just have to
technically too.
convert
Mhm.
this
Yeah,
road into a
correct,
racetrack.
correct,
So it
correct,
takes
correct.
a lot. And so that is why a lot is actually not one of the most profitable races for the FIA, but
On
it
the calendar.
is one of the most historic races on the calendar
Yeah, yeah,
Honestly,
because
though,
Monaco has been on every calendar since F1 started. So yeah.
I
on the
would
calendar.
love to be there for the
Bro,
transformation of the city
bro,
itself. Not even the race,
bro,
but at least the
bro.
transformation of the city. Like when I was small, I used to sit down and watch these bridge building and tunnel building shows and things. You know, and to see like how they build the bridges and all these different things, that would be
Hmm.
amazing to see.
Don't
And
worry.
Agreed.
Don't
another
worry.
talking point. We'll
Claim
be
it,
there. We'll be
Ismail.
there.
We
We'll
going
be
up in
there. We'll
our
be there.
yacht.
Yeah.
We going up
We'll
in
be
our
there.
yacht.
Yeah,
We going
we'll
up
be
in
there.
our
Don't worry.
yacht. Right? Don't worry about
Look, I
that.
just
'Cause
I just
that
gonna
one
say,
is.
hey Lewis, spending the night by you and then I'm watching the race and he'll be like, yeah,
Look,
why
look,
Michael,
look.
why no
Uh,
see, no
Hey,
see.
it'll happen. It'll happen. It'll happen.
well, I mean,
It'll
the
happen.
smell alignment with Ricardo. Lol. But as you on
Because
that
you remember
note,
a lot of these drivers live there, so
true,
Yeah, I think
exactly. A
Max
lot of
lives
living
there
on.
be
too.
home for them.
In on that note, Ishmael, if you get a chance to go one race, all expenses paid, everything, and no, you're not in the seats, you're wrong in the garages, all the big boys, you're bambang. Which one track race you want to go?
Have you Monaco?
Michael?
Um, I would say Silverstone to be honest.
See, yeah, I know you was,
Yeah,
I know
Mercedes
I
man.
could
Yeah,
have
Mercedes
put my
man. Yeah,
head
Lewis
on a
man. Yeah,
block.
Mercedes man. Yeah,
Could
it
have put
had
my
to be.
head
It
on
had
a
to be.
block. I know that. For me, I
No,
mean,
and then I have British
obviously,
citizenship, so that's home,
yeah.
dog.
Well, obviously Monaco, but I don't know, boy. Something about that Miami. If Miami becomes a name state, I think I would want to go
Hmm.
Miami.
You
I like
mentioned
Miami.
Miami there, and I vex you forget to bring up something.
Is
I'll
that
say
right?
Silverstone,
The most
Monaco.
historic event that happened in Miami this year. Alex Albon first points.
Yeah. I
Facts.
saw
How
it,
can we
and
forget?
I was good and mention it, I swear, I was like, how come I didn't mention my boy Alex? It's true. It's true. No, we have bigger
Yeah,
fish to fry.
Isn't his
We had to talk
first? Isn't
about.
his first points? His first points with Williams.
We had to
yeah,
talk.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. But we have to talk about another big boy. But we'll get there on that same team, right? But we'll get there. We'll get there,
The
right?
goat
So
himself.
that's it for Monaco. So now Baku, Azerbaijan. This,
Hmm. The
this,
key.
this the key, right? This I love the shape of this,
Yeah,
right?
so
The
I
shape
think
of this track.
talking points coming up into this one and previous to this and past this were like we started to talk about the race directors and are they safe? Are they too safe? Come the man, let we race. We want races.
Yes,
Safety,
yes,
yes, we
yes.
want safety, but we also want races. And overall, if I had to rate them so far for the fact that they're now starting, I think I'll give them a passing grade. It wasn't some things they may could have done probably a little bit more exciting, but they erred on the side of caution,
Yeah.
and
The
I think
driver's
it paid
actually
off.
frustrated with them
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't want
because
to. I'm not saying it. I'm not saying it. They
Seb
are.
Seb walk out a race because that's the thing with having two race directions. It's inconsistency.
yeah. That's the
One race
biggest. That's the
director
biggest.
say X, the next one say Y, the next one say Z.
And
And
then you
it's
have to
like,
impact.
bro,
Yeah.
exactly. So at one
Yeah.
race, one set of rules apply. The next racing, which is nearly as bad as Massey,
Yeah. No.
because
Michael, it's not right. Michael, it's not right.
Yeah.
it's
Prove.
Good quotes in there. Now, some key points here. Carlos Sainz and Leclerc both DNF early as well too, in
Hmm.
8 and 21 respectively. Right, our boys Zhao DNF, Magnussen DNF. So he was having a bit of a bad, and people were starting to ready to get to drop him. Certain people, but we
I did.
won't
I
call
did.
names,
Call my
right?
name. I did.
I was banking and heavy on him. I was like, no, I have to keep him. Lance Stroll DNF as well. Our boy Latifi. I think this was his start of him finishing some races. And we were, of course, certain people like Michael were making fun of him for finishing races, right? True.
Is you started
Ocon,
it, but okay.
I don't know what you're talking about, bro, but Ocon in the points, Norris in the points again, Ricardo, right? Ismail's favorite driver in the points, Alonso
I don't
doing
even
his
want to do it
thing,
at this point.
right? Vettel 6, I think that's his highest finish for the season so far. Gasly
Mm-hmm.
fifth, Hamilton fourth, and Russell on the podium again. Perez second, and Max first. So Baku
Yeah,
was pretty, that was
I think
another
this
good
was the
one.
point. This is the point where Red Bull start to according to somebody who hosting this show, Red Bull start to do a little something with a car from a certain driver. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
We will get to that. We will get to that. But they because at this point, I know what you're alluding to, but we won't go there. We'll talk about that a little further. Because race orders started to pelt and fling and certain things and get and certain drivers who would have won this race were told that they have to hold back and blah blah blah. But we will get it.
They're on
So
a
the
different
next
strategy. They're on a different strategy. But
yeah.
when time to reverse it, no, it wasn't a different strategy. then.
Exactly. So the next one was Canada. Canada was pretty good. Let me see. Let's go straight on to who. So Perez, right. I remember in this race now. Yes. So Perez would have put DNF pretty early in lap 7, and then we had Stroll. Well, of course, homeboy had to finish in the top 10, so he did. Alonso with 9, Zhao 8, nice high finish from Bottas again, 7, Ocon 6, Leclerc 5th, Russell 4th, Lewis with a rare podium, right? Because the last time he podium was doing it since the first race, and this was his second podium for the season. And Carlos coming in second and Max first. So 70 laps. We were a bit worried, or at least I was, for certain teams, especially Ferrari and Red Bull, because we noticed they've longer races with a lot of laps seem to be giving them trouble with the reliability.
Mm-hmm.
But they stood up, they stood tall, and they finished. Carlos Sainz finished a really good race. Max finished with a finish, of course. Sainz got fastest lap. So he really was pushing and doing well, trying. It wasn't bad at all. And again, of course, George Russell with a consistent top 5 finish and Hammy up there in the points. So not too bad. Again, this was pretty straightforward, following the trend of all of the top 10s, minus of course Lance Stroll coming up there. You remember anything at all from this particular race? Anything that stood out? I mean, Canada was pretty
kind
good.
of hoping for the good to perform a little bit better there, homeboy. But slightly disappointed, but it paid dividends after.
Yeah.
And then we have the start of the things I was alluding to, but we'll get there soon. We'll get there.
Yes,
soon.
we'll get there. We'll get there because it was starting to look very sus. Very, very sus. But we'll get there. Now, of course, Great Britain was the next one, right? So, Michael, I know this is all you. This is all you. Now, let me see. This is the one I want to listen. Was this it? Yes, this is itself.
This was the Spy series.
This was itself. So, since qualifying, now, Canada, the thing what got me upset with Canada is Sainz. I remember Sainz was doing well in qualifying, and it looked like if he pulled up, and because he could have finished Q1 for qualifying, but he pulled up and did not. But this time, with this race, my boy went all the way, got fastest lap. No, a lie, didn't get fast lap. Fast lap was Lewis Hamilton. So Lewis Hamilton got faster, but he really did well. Did Q1, finished in P1, and did what he's supposed to do. Now, of course, we know that caused a little controversy because there were team orders, and he was told he was supposed to hang back, but he did not hang back. He went straight ahead, and I kept making a joke about this. This inspired another person from another team to do his thing and finish and give some trouble in other races, but we will get there. So let's.
He was supposed to get disqualified, but we ain't good, eh?
We weren't good. We weren't good, right?
We weren't good.
No, we had quite a lot.
He hung back.
Yeah.
It's just the car in front him just slow down too much. It's not his fault.
I talking about Sergio.
I know exactly
but
what
yes, it's a Red Bull driver, so they just do whatever.
No,
I think this was the first race George Russell did.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to talk about it. So this race, we have to, of course, pick up Zhao. This was a bad accident.
This was a bad accident. My boy ended up in his stands.
Correct me, Michael and Ishmael. This was the first serious incident like this.
For the
Yeah,
season,
yeah.
yes.
For the
Yeah.
season, for the season, for the season, for the season.
Yeah, for the
First,
season.
and it was a lot of cars a lot of drivers got affected by it because a lot of them they were doing the thing and just bam, 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 just into it. I remember Vettel maneuvering beautifully away from the carnage because he was right, very close to it. Right. So I remember Russell getting out the car, and that's what really messed him up. I think if he stayed in the car, he probably would have been able to finish. So
Correct.
this put a bit of a blemish on his record, but it was not his fault. He is the president of the Drivers Association. He has a heart in his chest. He saw a fellow driver and he was the closest to the scene. There were no stewards as yet. The stewards were now making their way. He flung out of the car. He didn't even hesitate. He flew. Because I thought they did not show what happened yet to Zhao. So I was thinking some really bad things, but they only showed Russell. And the way Russell flung out the car, I have to say flung, because I thought the car was on fire or there was smoke. The way he got out of his vehicle, it did not look natural. He just flew out the car and then he was running, but it didn't show where he was running to. And then, of course, when we found out Zhao was in an incident, I thought the worst because it took a very long time, Michael,
To show the
to
accident
show.
itself.
Yeah, I was very worried. I remember being worried during Island Bay. And I
No,
was
because we
very
were
concerned.
there and we were like, what happened?
Yeah.
You're not showing
Yeah, and
us
they
the
weren't
accident.
showing
We
us. They
really did
weren't
thought
showing.
you were
No, I
it,
mean,
yeah.
yep. I mean, of course, they had to be they had to be fair to him and his family and whatnot. They have to be careful of what they show. But I was very concerned. Because I watch a lot of football and stuff and other sports, and when they don't show certain things, that's when you know, well, nah, something bad happened.
Yeah.
So I was then, but
So,
as you can see, a lot of big names had got DNF there. So of course Ocon was doing well. Of course he got in the melee, Gasly in the melee, Bottas in the melee. So it took us a good chunk of the grid, right? A good chunk of the grid was out. But going up the road now, K-Mag with a 10th place, Vettel 9th, Schumacher 8th. So, and that was a nice bit of celebration there for Haas. You know me, I was bigging up Haas since the start of the season as
Not only that,
differential, and it was great.
we boy Mick was fighting with Max Verstappen.
Yes. Can't
He was
forget that. Mick
fighting
was
with
holding
Max.
him up, challenging him, trying to get that 7th place. Yeah, Max could have finished 8th. If
Yep.
it had 2 more laps, maybe 3 more laps to go, he could have probably finished 8th.
one more lap.
right?
One more lap. I think
Right?
he had him. He had him.
Yeah, he had him.
Yeah, coming out to the last corner, they were side by
Yeah.
side.
Yeah, he had
Yeah.
him there.
No, for real. I'm glad you remind me of that.
I think this
And
particular
we can't
race-
forget. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. You good.
No, we had a big up Alonso, with all his misfortunes, finishing up there in 5th, Lando Norris 6th. And this was the heel of the safety car, right? Alonso being called the safety car because he was blocking a lot of people and holding off a lot of opponents. Leclerc 4th, Hammy 3rd, Perez 2nd, and Carlos Sainz, as we said, 1st. So this was a real action-packed one.
We
It
cannot
had
talk about Silverstone and not talk about the battle between those three.
Of course,
It
we have
was
to go back.
between
Yeah.
Perez, Hamilton, and Leclerc.
Yes,
I
yes.
find it was a
Hamilton.
big brain move when
Yeah.
it is Lewis saw Perez and
Bro.
Leclerc fighting, and he was like,
Bro.
"Alright, I'ma just
Bro.
wait." And as they came out that corner, Lewis just went around the outside of both of them and was like, "Bye, boys."
We cannot
That was
forget
absolutely beautiful.
our reactions in Island Bay. We have
Dog,
better
we
shit pull up that
literally
clip.
jumped up and
I
ran.
wish I could. I wish I could pull up that clip real quick, but I don't have enough time. But I wish that was because I was sitting. You already smelled the rat for some reason. You were up on the screen already, but I wasn't.
Yeah,
And I was
yeah.
just there, and I was like, well, wait, just now. And we saw it, and the shimmy, and the shaking, and the thing was and we went mad. It was crazy. It was a really cool moment, and they got to see Hammy in his element, showing them, hey, don't forget I
And
doing
boy
this,
was home.
right? 7 times for a reason, Don't forget that. So big up. This was a real good race. This was one of my favorite races
Yeah.
for the season. It was a
So
real
many
good
talking points from this race, we had back obviously safety, safety and all of the safety features on the car coming out of this race, and following in the other races, we started talking more about the safety features in the car, I think this is where the talk with the safety with respect to the stewards and the race directors kind of die down from this point because
Mm-hmm.
you tend to realize that you get a reminder that this is really a life and that thing they're playing with. It's better they always go inside the caution and
Yeah.
they try to race and stuff and things happen. And
That's the thing. Drive. Sorry.
and I
When
want
I
to say
finish.
thankfully, but
Mhm.
Joe walked out of there.
Yeah.
And then you
Yeah,
had
yeah,
Alex
yeah, for
Albon
sure.
who had to go to the hospital.
Yeah,
Because
correct.
so it was surprising. I don't want to say thankfully. I mean thankfully nothing happened to Joe.
Nothing
And
happened.
I
Man, he
don't
could
want to say
have raced the
thankfully
next
nothing.
race. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But it
No,
was surprising that the way his car ended up versus the way Alex Albon. That
yeah,
Alex
Alex.
was the one
Yeah,
who had to go to the hospital.
correct. Yeah. I also want to big up Anthony. He was saying he answering our question earlier. He wanted to go Baku. I myself, because getting to Baku is one of the hardest countries in Europe to get to because there's some because of the football. And I was looking it up a long time ago, and but I would love to go to Baku. I think it'd be very interesting, and of course, it is a track full of drama. I would love to go. Yeah, Baku's not a bad one. That's a good shout. I like that one, Anthony. That's a decent shout. Yeah, but Great Britain was full of splashes and splashes, a lot of action, a lot of drama. But thankfully, everyone was safe, and it was the first mountain hand moment for me watching a
Mm-hmm.
live race and worried and really concerned about the driver. But thank God, as you say, he was safe and then we coming now to the busiest part of July because these races were back to back to back. So Austria, coming out to Austria. So Austria saw Charles Leclerc finishing on top, Max Verstappen first, Hamilton third, Russell. And this now is where we saw Mercedes getting the groove and with the consistent podium finishes and top four finishes. Ocon fifth, Schumacher with another brilliant finish, sixth.
So we're
Lando
gonna talk
Norris
about it
up
this
there.
race or we're gonna keep alluding to it.
No. This is the race we have to talk about it now. We have to talk about this race. So K-Mag 8, Ricardo 9th, and of course Fernando Alonso, the greatest safety car in 10. No.
Alex Albon in 12. That was pretty big as well.
Yeah. I think 2 was this it, boy? This was the race? No, it's not this one. Was it this one? Hold on. I think it was this one. Was it this one? No, it wasn't this one. It wasn't this one. Okay. I think it was in next race where Latifi qualified high over there. We passed that one. I think
Yeah,
we
no,
passed it.
we'll reach it. We'll reach it.
Yeah,
Alright.
right. You know how to talk about Latifi. But so my theories and suspicions were growing a bit. I genuinely think that Red Bull did something to Perez car. I'm not even joking, Kickson. I genuinely believe. All right, you don't want to listen, you want to be insubordinate. Okay, and they did something. They played with
Mm-hmm.
something, they tinkered with something because all of a sudden now, Perez has not been driving to his best. He has been driving slow. He has not been challenging other drivers around him because we will see that just now in the other races, right? The last 2 races there, and I am very suspicious of it because again, I am not a fan of these team orders. If Max fifth and Perez is third or second, I am pushing and telling Perez, you go, boy, you go. I'm not going to encourage him to just distract the other drivers or pull them into a battle and then let Max come up. No. Let Max fight first, please. But if Max obviously is first and Perez is third or whatnot, then okay, team orders, pull off Lewis, whatever. Fine.
Mm-hmm.
That is fair. But Perez has been in many occasions, Perez has been first up there on his own merit, doing his thing, not just defending, but attacking and being very aggressive when he has to, and it paying off dividends. Up there with the big boys, and then the radio comes in, well, hey, you gotta let Max come through. Come on. But going, scrolling right up.
So I have material to give you on what caused this, right? And I think by now we should all have an idea, heard it mentioned or know that Ferrari and Red Bull had some loose
Illegal flaws.
interpretations
Yes.
how the
I like how you
tank-
said that.
Yeah, something like the FIA.
I like how you
covering
said
it up.
that.
They had illegal flaws.
of how the regulations
They didn't understand the rules, Michael. Come on, Michael. You need human.
how the regulations outline that the planks should be.
The regulations were in German and the Google Translate kind of messed up or go.
I
Come now,
hear you, sir.
Michael. Why
in
Michael so
typical-
Ishmael way?
In typical F1 engineering style, they always look at, okay, well, where are we going to be checked? Where
Mhm.
are the sensors? Where are the things that is going to be scrutinized?
Mhm.
Let's make sure that complies. And where it doesn't comply, I mean, if we have a little something to help us out, I mean, who knows, right? So they were told that they needed to get that fixed, and they were
Yes.
given a certain amount of races to fix it.
Yes.
And unlike my theories with Lewis Hamilton taking the brunt end of the stick and being the one to drive the car to fix the stuff that needs to be done, they can't hit the champion, the golden boy, Max Verstappen, and have him drive the slower car, right?
His
Correct.
father wouldn't
So
allow that.
somebody has to test out the legal, as Michael would like to say it, the new compliance, I would say, flaws, the planks. So as a result, some of that performance in that car, because of the loosely interpreted regulations previously that was there, no longer there.
Fair
So
enough.
I think Perez just got the short end of the stick there, and he had to drive it because you would notice by the reactionary teams, right? Like when these things happen, when you see two drivers on slightly different things, you'd notice that they wouldn't be too worried that okay, he's a bit slower than the rest, because I think him and Russell at the time were genuinely going at it piece by piece, and
Yeah.
Perez needed the DRS to be
Yeah.
in contention.
Correct.
Not even to pass, to be in contention with him. And I was
Correct.
like,
Correct.
bro,
And that's
if
not the case
Mercedes,
normally.
if Russell, you had 5 laps, why aren't you past him?
Exactly.
But that was his genuine pace at the time.
At the time.
And I think, does it mean something when we come back out of the break of where Red Bull would be? Who knows? Ferrari also looked a bit slower to the end. Maybe they were also testing their new regulations as they needed to.
Correct.
Does that mean that Mercedes will be back up there as the fastest? We don't know. But I think that definitely Perez had to test it out for the team. And I mean, is it something that we agree with? Is it something that needed to be done? Could they have said, okay, well, one race Max, you take it, one race Perez, you take it? I mean, we could all debate.
Nope,
but
they would never do that.
yeah, exactly. So
True. Now,
yeah,
coming now to France. Back to France. Now, was this the one with the blood curdling scream, Michael?
No.
This is not the one with the blood curdling scream. It was Budapest.
Oh
Was it this
yes,
one?
no.
yes,
It was France. It was France. Yes.
Right. That scream. Woo! Boy,
That was heard everywhere in the
I
world.
felt so sorry for him. I mean, not for
This
him.
was
but-
Michael's favorite race because he said
Yeah.
2-3 Mercedes, so said, so done.
Yeah, he really said it. He was saying it. We as usual, we ignore him, Ishmael. We don't take him on. We leave him. They say is Mercedes propaganda. But he really said it. He was plotting it. He was strategizing it. Now, of course, we have to admit that this was all Ishmael's fault, right?
I was
Ishmael
going
was
to
the
ask
reason.
if he was going to mention that.
This, of course, I have to mention
Yes.
that. This is all your fault. This is all your fault. Right? As soon
And you call
as
yourself a
Leclerc was
Ferrari
up there,
fanboy.
Leclerc was up there.
I'm a Danny Rick fanboy.
He's a Danny Rick fanboy. Danny Rick, right? Leclerc was up there as soon as
the
Ismail
positions
said.
would be Max, Lewis, George, Perez. I
As
think,
soon-
Jared, I think we could take that. I think that, if somebody was to stop at the side,
Ismail was like, if he didn't, if he just pull aside in the gravel, so said so. And I was like, yo, as soon as he said it, it happened.
Within a
It was
minute,
not pull
because-
aside. It was more of
clip-
a crash and burn.
Yeah, it
the clip
was
was
a
longer
bad-
than a minute, right?
But
The clip was
it was
less-
if
probably
it
less
was
than
a minute, if it was a minute again as a next clip. But already end of the season, I'll have all these clips, the fun moments of all our watch alongs, and I'll do some nice throwback videos. But my
Mhm.
goodness, wait, that I put it as a TikTok. I put up as a TikTok because that was too scary. So of course we had Max first, Hammy second, George third, Perez fourth, Sainz fifth, Alonso with an impressive six, Lando Norris seven, Ocon eight, Daniel Ricciardo with a solid ninth, Lance Stroll
No,
10th.
no, no. Since the previous Daneric points, me and all the other Daneric fanboys agreed to realize and ignore Daneric's presence in F1 because we preparing ourselves for the eventuality that he may not be there next season. So as of now, he isn't there at all.
And as you said that
That's
too,
true loyalty
around
for you, boy.
yeah, boy. And as you say that around now, you know, it would have been just
Yeah, but
before
after.
Budapest. It would have been just before Budapest that we would have gotten the news that Vettel had made the decision to retire as well. Chose fam. You know, he wants to spend some more time with his family. Nothing wrong with that.
Wasn't that in the off season?
No, that was
It
just
was
either
just
just
before the last
after
race of the
Budapest or
season.
before. It was just
Just
before,
before
just
the
after,
last race.
because I remember doing our preview and I brought it up in the preview.
Right,
so
right.
yeah, it was just
So
before
it
Budapest.
actually started off with a very happy thing. Vettel on social media. What is this?
Lol.
Yep.
You know, everybody was getting excited. We were happy.
Yeah.
You know, Vettel
He
said
finally
that
decided to join.
we get to see some more Vettel content. We can't say no
That'll
to
be
that.
great. We have it. Now, of course,
And then he said,
the
no,
last
right?
the last race of the first half. I'm not gonna pronounce that. I've been to Budapest, and Budapest language is very interesting. I'm not gonna try and pronounce that. But that where we were at the Aramco, that in Budapest, right? Beautiful city, beautiful city.
Yeah. Must remember the watch along. The beginning they watch along with certain pictures being thrown out there.
Right? We only had one DNF, and that was Bottas. So it was a pretty straightforward race. I didn't want to use the B word for this race, but it was in at least the first few laps. It was a little being, a little bit, but then it started spice up coming down to there when we saw a lot of battles and we saw tire strategies and we saw lack of strategies as always from a certain team.
So I think
big-
this was the race where Perez and Russell were going at it, and this
Yes.
confirmed to me that
and to me
it
as
was
well.
a different car. It
Yes.
was a different car.
Yes. Well, I didn't know about the different car, but I was saying that, yes, sabotage. You want to say different car, I would call it sabotage, right? But Vettel, 10th, Ocon, 9th, big up my boy Ocon, Alonso, 8th, Lando Norris, 7th, Charles Leclerc, 6th, Perez, 5th, Sainz, 4th, Russell, 3rd, Hammy, 2nd. Now, this and Max first. Now, I remember this race clearly because Charles was up in third, just overtook Perez, I believe it was at the time. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong.
Before he overtook
Pit.
him.
And pit, and they were in the ears, and I was like, but I don't want to hear that right now. What the hell else? Come on. And again, terrible strategy from Ferrari. Terrible. It was just poor. And Ferrari,
No. Was it
threw away.
this race?
Yeah, it was this one self. And Ferrari officially threw away the championship. Officially threw away the championship. Here.
No, I think it was the race.
Now it's this one because the reason I remember that too because Sainz was third and fourth Perez, and Perez slowed all the way down.
This was
And
the race
Russell and
that
Sainz
they put
came
him on hards.
when he was third with Perez. He just passed Perez in third. He just battled they had pit him before. He battled to come up. He come up third and they pit him because he was on. Was it the hards for a while? He was out there for a while.
He was on
and-
mediums.
Yeah, medium. I needed to pit or something, but he didn't need to pit at that time because
Correct.
where
I think that
Perez
was the
was.
previous race. I think
Nah,
that
it
was
was
the previous
this
race.
one because
This
the reason
race they put him on hards when they should have put him on soft.
No, that's the race after this.
that's before this
And
one.
his
right. Have a next
and
race,
his
have a next race.
and
Right,
his
right, right.
and his Leclerc that they had put on the hards when it is
Exactly. Yeah, Leclerc
they
they messed
could
up, but
see
forget-
that everybody was not
Yeah.
doing well on hards.
yeah,
But they
forget-
still
yeah,
decided,
exactly.
you know what, we
And
are
then-
Ferrari. We will
and
You
the
do
rain-
have to forgive me. You
And
have
remember
to
the
forgive
rain-
me
Green was
because
stretching.
forgive me because the amount of strategy calls from Ferrari that
I
need
know.
to-
I
yeah,
agree.
It's too
I
much.
agree.
I'll have to go back through them and
Yeah.
and look at
No,
them.
but
It's too
this
much,
was
it's too
it.
much.
This was it because I remember we were being upset because of the calls. This was it. This was this one, and this is how Russell because Hammy and Verstappen were battling, and even they and all they're pitting because Hammy was staying out for a while, and Hamilton got fastest lap as well, trying to just catch up and stay up there with Max to keep the second place. So it was this race. It was this race.
Yeah.
And of course, this is the last. This was the last one before the break. So the next race coming up is Belgium. Is Spa. That's the correct correct nickname. Michael, Spa, I think they call it. So can't wait for that one.
Yeah.
That's quite only 26 to the 28th to the 28th. We will be Spa. That's it. It's called Spa.
That's way too
Mhm.
far, man. That's way too far.
Bro,
It's
way too
ready.
far. No, not right there.
My
dog.
only
Stop, man.
concern, dog. This is my biggest problem with Spa, right?
Mm.
Is it 28? That's the same day as FOC now, boy. FOC is from I think 3 to 8 or 3 to 9. So I may not be at the watch along, but
That's
we
fine.
watching it
That's
and I'm
fine.
actually
That's
half
fine.
awake.
That's fine. That's fine. So he already flaking on us, Ishmael. But I know
I'm not
Ishmael will be there with me.
flaking. My
Yeah?
tickets by long time.
I know Ishmael will be there. Right, don't worry. We don't talk to flakes, right? So Ishmael, you and I will be there.
Yeah,
We'll get
yeah.
Jordan. Right? We rally the
That
crew.
that Ferrari strategy thing still messing with America. I know that to my recollection, the last race they did, they went on hard for no reason when they should have gone soft. I think
Mhm.
Red Bull started
That
on
was with
Yeah,
soft.
that
Leclerc.
was France. That was definitely France. But Budapest was the one where he was
Red Bull
too.
started on softs, which were brilliant because
Yes.
hards were
Yes.
not it.
Not it. Agreed.
Right.
Agreed. But
And then they won
remember,
another race where they
right?
pitted Leclerc. I think it was like 11 laps before the end where he was battling for third. And
Nah,
everyone was complaining
right.
that
Right.
they should not
Yes.
have pitted him.
And
But
that was
I
that
backed
was
them and I
another one.
said no.
Yeah. Yeah.
They
Yeah.
needed to pit him, and
Yeah.
it's better that they pit him then and let him
Well,
catch back up the
That
positions.
that race you're talking about, that one was Austria with
So they
Leclerc.
did it
That was
twice.
Austria. But no, they did it to Charles the second in this one. This not Charles, sorry, they did it to
Sainz.
Sainz this time. Because Sainz was up there battling with Perez. And
Hey,
he's the one that they
when
picked.
you have some time, I'm gonna go and fix my CV. We will apply to certain jobs.
I tell you, I ready, and then we'll be safety car drivers at 50. Because I fed up a
At
Ferrari
this point
needed.
now, come no
I fed
man.
up a Ferrari.
I don't think any other team for this season has had so much poor strategy calls, and there were
Nope,
teams
no other
with poor
team.
strategy calls.
So
I think Austin Martin had some poor strategy calls
Yeah.
at certain points because they ran setups that were. I think everybody ran setups for a particular type of weather condition, and they said, "Nah, we just go and do something different." And Vettel and Stroll were supposed to be up there,
yeah,
and then
agree.
they weren't there.
No, so I have while we were talking, I quickly made a slideshow. Kings of the first half, and I have some names and some pictures here. And we have another category as well. So if anybody that you see missing that you all would like to add it, let me know. So let me run through it first, and then you all can let me know what you all think. So of course, I said no particular order. I'm just calling the kings of the first half. Anybody missing? I know Michael will call a name.
Gotifi not first. It is
Right.
not legit.
So of course, I want to shout out Haas. I think Haas have been very solid for who and what they are, and not just as not just racing wise, but fantasy wise. I had them firsthand. Of course, not all the time they did well and came from, but they were very cheap and they brought me points, and that's all they could ask for. And they brought me some consistent points as well, at least 3-4 races straight back to back, and I can't complain about that. And of course, they had they have been having a good season for their standard. And for where they are, they've been having a very
And the fact that they still haven't brought any upgrades.
upgrades. And I think they're doing that for Belgium. I think so.
They
I
are
think
bringing
they
the
said they're doing it.
upgrades.
So
Yeah.
it's facts. Factual facts, Michael. Right?
And what they do is they enable you to have both Perez and Verstappen on your
Well,
team.
funny you say that. So my next king is Perez. Now, of course, I know he fell off in the last few, but again, that's not his fault. Sabotage, can't blame him. But he has been
He's
solid. He has been,
fetching. he is collecting
Consist-
data and testing the
consistent.
new
Sure, stats.
regulation
Right,
cards.
start collecting. Yes, yeah, he's the guinea
Yeah.
pig, sure.
Yeah.
Right, so he has been solid. He has been doing well. Have to big him up. Right,
Yeah.
Michael, don't sign off, Michael. Don't log off. But I have to have. You have to give him props.
I'll
This will
give,
be his
I'll give,
first
I'll give Jack
legitimate.
his jacket.
It'll be his first legitimate championship. It'll be the first time
His
he's
first
winning.
legitimate championship. Yes.
Right?
Hey,
Right?
hey. Jared, what are you
Right? First
encouraging
one.
here, boy?
His first. No.
Is it true? It will be his first
No.
legitimate.
It'll
His
be his
first legitimate
first ever.
championship.
His first ever non-FIA tainted championship. You can't say anything, but I mean, it's still early, but you can't say anything when he goes on to win because I am giving it to him. I think that is it. No one else will be in contention. As I
Alright,
rightfully
so-
said, I just think it'll
so-
be a battle for second and third.
It
maybe
was
between
FIA tainted. I agree. FIA tainted 100%. Baker say he didn't deserve it. Hamilton
didn't say
probably
that.
deserved it as well.
I didn't say
We
that.
didn't say
I
we
didn't
didn't
say
say he didn't
that.
deserve it.
All
Sir.
I'm saying
We
is,
said it is his first
this is his
legitimate.
first legitimate.
Yeah, but yeah,
Because obviously, for you
yeah,
to be,
but that's
for
not
him
his,
to be,
that's not his fault. That's
for
not
him
his
to
fault.
be
They
up
can't be
there. No,
blaming that.
I
It's
not
not
blaming
his
him. I
fault,
just
but
say
it still,
I'm
it
blaming
still
him. I
doesn't take
just
away
say
the legitimacy of it.
no. If no, the obviously for him to get for even for the error from the FIA, whatever, for it to rule in his favor, his
He had to be there.
points
He
had to be
there.
good. So his points were good up to that point. Not saying no, of course. But this all right, let me go there. I didn't want to go there, but let me go there.
We go in there.
He does not drive as aggressive as he did when Hamilton is challenging him.
Exactly.
One, he has
Right.
not sacrificed himself and another driver and DNF together because all right, frig you if I not getting it, you not getting it. Right? I'm waiting for you, smile. Right?
Mhm.
Three,
No, it's the thing.
Can't
that's
say
what I'm saying.
nothing yet.
three, right? The FIA all of a sudden now know to start the race properly, restart a race, properly after safety car and everybody come back into the grid. No man. But he will.
Michael,
this is
this is
his
a race.
first
We are
legitimate.
giving the drivers a chance to race. Come on,
This is his
Michael.
first legitimate race. He will win. Championship, he will win. And he's going to win it. I call it already. Right? Next up, have to big up my boy.
Before we move on there, right?
Before we
just
move on.
One question, right?
Talk to me.
Is he not driving aggressive against Hamilton, as like what he drove against Hamilton, because he doesn't need to drive so because Hamilton was not giving up. So like where he'll battle against Charles or Perez or Sainz, and he doesn't need to bring that out because they're not pushing him off track and they're not doing the same things.
No, I ain't taking the excuse. The first, what race was that, boy? When he and Leclerc were challenging on a nice wide pen. Which race? Either the second or the third. No, it can't be second. When we didn't DNF, right? I'll remember just
The
now. I think
second race,
Charles
I think
won.
he didn't DNF.
I think Charles won the race, but he
Well,
and
then he DNF.
Charles were battling. But not in no. I was waiting to see him, and he was pulling back. He was actually pulling, and I was like, bruh. If Petronas was on that car, as you would, right? So if I say it wrong, was on Petronas, sorry, was on
Petronas.
that
Good boy.
car was on that label was on that car, I would have seen something different. But we're not going there. Big up Russell all the time. Russell has had a brilliant start to the season. Brilliant first half. Can't ask for anymore. He has had better results.
I don't know if you
with-
if you could pause here and bring up the constructor standings.
You want the
But the constructor standings
No problem.
is as it is because of Russell.
Hold on. You can get out. Hold on. Standing.
I think that's a fairly okay statement to make.
right. So standings. Sorry. No, that's not what I want. I want constructor. Right, constructor standing. So
Constructor
yes,
standings.
I think that is as a fair. You're seeing it, right? That is a fair.
Yeah, I mean,
Right. That's a fair
saying
statement.
Lewis didn't contribute. Lewis
I
contributed
agree.
quite a lot.
I agree, but Russell set the foundation for
He said that
Mercedes to be up.
he had
Yeah,
it there,
yeah,
and they
yeah,
they
yeah.
probably did give him the opportunity to do it versus giving Lewis the opportunity to do it. But
Correct.
again, with all the performances that he put in, we couldn't say that in the next race Mercedes could go P2 in the constructors.
Yeah. No, I agree. 1,000%. Very possible. By the next two races, they could be up there. Yeah.
The next race
Especially with
themselves. If we
especially
get to
with
the NFs,
Ferrari. Yeah. Especially with
yeah,
Ferrari
yeah.
doing Ferrari things. Yeah. And we have to big up Alpine as well. Look at Alpine. Ocon and
Yeah.
Alonso. That's
If you look at
solid.
previous seasons, right, you'd have seen the gap with this big gap you see in here. It would
Yeah.
have been after P2 to P3. But
Correct. Correct.
Mercedes did not have anywhere near the car they had
Correct.
compared to Red Bull or Ferrari. And
Correct.
look at where they are.
Look at what they've done. Correct. And with the right upgrades now and everything, and these brakes and the testing ready brakes, you never know. You never know.
I can't say they'll be P1,
No.
just so,
That's a huge
because
gap.
it'll take
but
a good few DNFs from Red Bull to do so.
yeah.
But without George Russell, they wouldn't be in this conversation right now.
I agree, 1,000%. Now, moving on to our next category. Sorry, I had to big up Ocon. Sorry, propaganda. I had to big up Ocon all the time. Right. Next one.
Propaganda.
So, the jokers of the first half.
Nicholas
Now, do
Latifi.
that. No, wait. Now, hold on. Before I do that, sorry, I was being a bit, anyone missing from this for you, Ishmael, from the Kings? Anybody you thought that I didn't
Lewis.
mention or any constructors? Ishmael? Anybody?
Where is Latifi?
No, he could be used as an honorary mention. Yes, he did. He did have a nice solid end there. He had a few he had a great qualifier. I remember him finishing really high in qualifying and gassing us up, and we all went and get him, and then he DNF. But he didn't DNF in that race. He finished 11th, but he was up there with the big boys, Bamburn. I think that race messed him up because that was a race with the big that was Silverstone self with all the accidents. He was 8th at the time of the accident. And then that just threw him off there because he was up there and he could have probably finished 8th or 7th. Right? We never know. Michael, of course you can say it now. So you think Lewis is missing from that from
Lewis
this
is
category?
missing because as it goes to our Terry, he was testing the car, so to speak, in the first half of the season. So let's say he had the same package as George for the first part when it is George was being so consistent. Nothing is to say Lewis would not have done the exact same.
Or better.
Or better, matter of fact. So that is why I think he deserves his spot, because now that they get the car to some level of, let's call it
Well, when
stability,
we watch you drive to
look
survive
at how he's performing.
content from this season next year.
Mhm.
We'll get to come back and comment on it. But I think for somebody who has not been in a great car, who's been quietly consistent, similar to George Russell, but not on the level he has, Landon Norris, I think.
Yeah,
may
I
have a
could.
shot.
I think you could give
Yeah.
him a spot there.
Yeah,
Nice,
sure.
nice.
He might
Honorary
be a-
mention.
He have a
Honorary
shot at
mention.
least.
Yeah.
I could
like it.
give it to
And-
K-Mag to some extent, like an honorable mention.
Do we
Yeah.
have a space for Valtteri Bottas for the
Nah.
beginning of his
Yeah.
half?
No,
Nah.
no. I don't care.
Because
no.
Bottas went from the top performing team to a mid-tier team, and that's expected. And look, and where is he now? So that's why I wouldn't
Yeah.
give it to Bottas.
No, I wouldn't. Sorry.
No,
I
but-
mean, I understand where you're coming from, but no.
Personally, I think that the Alfa Romeo car is not anywhere near where we think it is. I think both Joe and Bottas are
Mhm.
outperforming that car by
Of course.
magnitudes.
I fully agree with you, but not to the
He
consistent
doesn't
level.
deserve,
to call them, yeah.
and not only
Yeah.
the consistency, but that's expected from Bottas. Is
Yeah.
Valtteri Bottas? If it is, you say Guan Yu Zhou, he's a rookie and whatever. Okay, fine, to some extent, okay. But this is Valtteri Bottas, a multiple-time Grand Prix winner, multiple-time pole sitter, teammate to one of the greatest drivers in the sport.
Michael is an interesting folk, He's an
Yeah, great. I know.
Yeah,
I love
but
it.
you would say Lewis deserves it because Lewis didn't finish good, but he possibly might have been driving a worse car. But the person who has been, he's a good driver, so he should have done better. It's expected that he drive where he drives.
You understand? But Loudly, man.
But you gotta understand the thing with Bottas. It's expected for Bottas to be there because even in Mercedes, he was finishing 5th.
Well, let's be fair. Bottas and Lewis have mirror imaging seasons right now, because Bottas was finishing pretty well, right, for his standards, and Lewis was finishing pretty bad for his standards at the start.
Agreed.
No,
and now things flip.
it flipped, right? But we have to move
No,
on
but we
because
need to mention one, but we can't mention the other. It's fine.
No.
It's fine.
Right? But we have to move on really quickly because I have like a few minutes. I have 80 minutes until my next show, right? So we have to move on quickly. So Jokers of the first half. This will be very short because only 2 people I have on it so far. Of course, can you guess who are the 2 people?
What do you mean by jokers? What was the
Jokers? The ones that
laughing stuck at the sport.
Fine,
Daniel Ricciardo and Daniel Ricciardo? Let's go.
No, this guy.
Mario Benotto.
Hey.
Ferrari might do a football, you know. You see how in football they just drop team managers middle of the season and thing. Ferrari might do the exact same thing with him.
Well, I don't. What was he contract situations like in Ferrari? Is it similar? Like they have, is he on a ridiculous amount and they have to pay him? I don't know how is it. Because you have to be careful with that.
He's expensive, yeah. But you feel Ferrari care? Ferrari is ruthless.
We should have sacked him since Monaco, but we won't go in there, right? And next on my list, this man. Why?
No,
let me tell you what.
That's a disservice.
No.
I'll listen to you.
This man upset me. He's a big human being and he should be able to do his own thing and push, right? And he's not pushing. He real upset me.
I wouldn't put him there because he isn't in it. You have to remember, this man younger than all of us. He's 24. He's literally my age. And at the end of the day, he's in a situation he's never been in before. Right. He doesn't have the experience, the mental fortitude, it comes down to experience. The only reason Lewis could have fought with Max as violently as Max was fighting last year is because Lewis has dealt with it with Alonso in the past. The only reason Max could have fought with Lewis the way he did is because that's how he fought with Danny Rick when they both came together in Azerbaijan. Like, it comes down to experience. Though he and Max are fairly closer in age, Max has been in Formula One since the age of 16. Max was driving Formula One cars before he had his license for a normal road car. It comes down to experience, something that Charles sadly does not have. As great a driver he is, he does not have the experience it takes to win a championship yet.
So I'm being too harsh on Charles.
You are being way too harsh on Charles. Granted,
I don't think so. But I understand
he is heartbreaking, but he does not deserve a joker. You want a joker? Put Danny Rick inside of there. You want a joker? Put Nicholas Latifi in there. You want a joker? Put Lance Stroll in there.
No. So you just call out the Latifi name just so
I don't understand that, boy. Yeah. Dog Latifi.
Well, they're rating this man for finishing a race. Come on.
Hey, That qualifier was lit.
So the man do one good qualifying and you want to put him in? Please, come on.
He was lit.
Lance Stroll, not giving people,
yes,
things based on their skill. He not judging them based on the skill, so we judge it Latifi based on his skill. If he finishes a race, he will clap.
But
he loses. Watch and see.
No, sadly we can't get into the fantasy aspect. I wasn't really planning to. I really just wanted to talk about the F1 components, really, because as I say, I have a next show in a few minutes, and they're already asking for the link. But we will have to close it off here. But this was good. I mean, we could always do a fantasy one next week because we have time again until it all up for it. we could do a full
Yeah,
fantasy
I'm
one
down.
and look back at our teams and plan
We
a
could look
strategy
back
of how
at
we
the
will
thing,
do,
because
yeah,
look,
performances, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I only a few points away from Mr. Antonio
Well, all
and
right,
getting my
well, all right.
jersey.
I'd rather buy a
And we'll
Mercedes
see how
jersey
I
than a
drop.
Bottas jersey. So, yeah,
Exactly, you will see
I
how it
really
is.
do.
I fell off a little bit and how I steadily come back.
Well, all right.
I
Well,
only
then
have
we'll do that
a
next
few
week.
points
So
away.
next week we'll do a fantasy review
I
show, a
mean,
full show on just fantasy.
the
I'll even see
Mercedes
if
jersey,
Rob free and could bring back Rob on Twitch.
For sure.
But yeah, so yeah, guys, I have to. I sadly had to cut a slide above. Give me 2 preview to do. Ismail, if you wanna jump in, you can more than jump in. I'll send a link.
I'll be watching so I can figure
Yeah,
out how to do
yeah.
my team.
How you did though? Before we go, how you did in
60,
how much points?
65 points, dog.
that's double mine. That's
You're
double my
welcome,
points.
eh? You're welcome.
Thank
You're
you.
freaking welcome.
I want to
I'm
get
joking,
rid.
but
I
nah,
want to
good
get. I
job.
want to get rid of Rashford though.
Right. Yes. Yes.
Jared,
Yes.
boy.
So I had to
Nothing wrong
see
with
who
that.
to get rid of
Nothing wrong with that.
Rashford with.
Remember, I ended up
Talk
going
to
with
me.
Kin.
We'll talk. We'll talk. We'll talk.
I
We'll
ended up
talk.
going with Kin instead of Haaland.
I'm not dumping Kane. I find it too early. But we'll talk about all that if you want to jump on. We'll talk about that. Let me go and get ready for this next one.
Exam tomorrow. So
Fair enough. No problem. But
yeah.
I want to thank my guests, host. Right beyond guests, you're like co-host now. My brothers in F1. I want to thank Ishmael. I want to thank Michael for coming through. Thank you so much for dedicating some time. And next week, please, God, we will try and do a full fantasy band of the first half. So take care, guys. Next one. I'm picking up. Do this too, guys. 2 weeks.